All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Tuesday, December 12th, 2023, and of course, we just finished with week 14 of the NFL, so it's only natural. It's only the next right step. You know, what comes after 14? It's week 15. So we have that to go over, which should be a pretty good time. Real quick, we did terrible last week. We went 5-10, didn't see any of the upsets, picked a bunch of games wrong. All the upsets we picked were incorrect. It was a bad week. We went 5-10. We'll go over that in a second, but hey, you know, full transparency, I had a bad week. I still have over 120 games correct this year, so I'm still doing good. It's just, boy, oh boy, I feel like me and a lot of other people did not have the greatest week last week. But hey, you know, we're just picking games. We're not experts. We're just having a good time, huh? So let's just hope we can erase the 5-10 from our memory. Short week, short memory. You know, we move on, we make moves. Anyway, if you still want to, you could leave a like. You could subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. You could leave your picks with your thoughts on the video, your picks, how you're doing on the year as we're getting closer to the end of the year. All those things are important. I like to see how you're doing. I like to see who's ahead. How'd everybody do last week? It was a pretty miserable time. Make sure you leave that down in the comments. Again, leave a like and subscribe, all that YouTube mumbo jumbo that you need to do in videos just to make sure everything, you know, is running good and looks good, smooth. So that's out of the way. Let's go on to the actual stuff that people are here for, right? The video, not the YouTube crap. Week 14, we again, we've been on a good run, getting 10-4, 12-4, 9-4, 8-6, 9-5, 11-5, and then we go 5-10, which brings our record to a 126-82 mark. It's like 60.5%, so we're doing all right, still over 60%. But again, we want to have a strong week here to avoid getting to that 100 losses, which looks pretty like it'll happen. But hey, you know, never know what's going to happen. NFL's in a good spot. Bye weeks are no more. This is the last week you'll see this slide. Bye weeks are finished. Woo! I guess technically not finished because you have like the wild card round of the playoffs. But who knows who's getting the 1 seeds? The 49ers and Ravens? Wow. Anyway, let's jump into the games this week. I think Thursday Night Football, we have an instant classic. Oh yeah, we got one of the greater games of the weekend. In a weekend full of good games, this is the first one we get this weekend. That's awesome. You know what's crazy? The Saturday games this week, I think like all the games are like 7-6 except the Detroit Lions. You'll see in a second, like all the teams are 7-6 except the Detroit Lions. It's really, really weird. Parity in the NFL is insane right now. Anyway, the Raiders take on the Chargers in Las Vegas. The Raiders are 3-point favorites with an over-under of 33.5. The Chargers coming off a tough loss to the Broncos, 24-7, in which Justin Herbert fractured one of his fingers, so he's probably going to be out for a little while, maybe the rest of the season because it is on his throwing hand. And then, of course, with the Raiders, they lost 3-0 to the Vikings, one of the higher scoring games I've ever seen. Offensive explosion in against Minnesota. So the Raiders are coming in off after a big offensive game, looking to keep that going here against the Chargers. Really, the Chargers, big offensive game for them too. Basically, I'm going with the Raiders in this one because it's a short week, division game. It's a short week at home for the Raiders. They're going up against Easton Stick, who's making like his first career start, I think, or one of the very few starts of his career. So I don't really know how that's going to go. The Raiders have been playing very good defense since Antonio Pierce took over, so I like that. So we have a team playing good defense at home, short week. Quarterback making a start out of nowhere basically on that short week. Chargers coaching is really bad. So it's all of those things kind of playing into this where I'm like, it feels like the Raiders got this handed to them on a silver platter. And if you're the Chargers or the Raiders, do you really want to win this game? What's the point? This is a really good draft class. Probably time to consider going low. But yeah, so I like the Raiders in this one for all the reasons I mentioned. If Herbert was playing, I'd pick the Chargers, but I wonder how that's going to look. Saturday Night Football. Yeah, we have Saturday football returning. Here's the first game of the day. The 7-6 Bengals take on the 7-6 Minnesota Vikings. The Bengals are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 39.5. The Vikings, again, we just went over that, won 3-0 versus the Raiders. And with the Bengals, they Jake Browning and company are still kicking the crap out of people. They won 34-14 against the Colts. Very impressive win. Browning looks really good. He's fearless. He's just throwing the ball out there. It's like he knows he's a backup and he's like, listen, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. I'm just going to play fearless. And he's got the receiving core, the offensive play calling that really carries and like lifts him up. It's really cool to see this team respond like that. It's kind of like the There's like a famous effect. I forgot which basketball player it's named after, I believe. Patrick Ewing effect, where when the star player gets hurt, everybody plays better, a little bit better. And since the Bengals have like a really good team, now this guy like Jake Browning can step in and do really good. And I think that's part of the reason I'm picking the Bengals. Minnesota's played pretty good defense this year, especially over the last few games, but their offense has become completely non-existent. And I think, with the quarterback situation they have and going up against a Bengals defense that can be really good at times, like really quietly good, I feel like the Vikings are going to have trouble scoring in this game. Minnesota, again, probably can put some of the clamps on this Bengals offense that's been really good the last couple weeks. But again, until we see kind of like that fall from Browning and like that slip up, it's really hard to pick against him because he looks just like Joe Burrow out there. Like, it's like there's not much difference there. They seem to be playing just as good, if not a little bit better. So we have a very good offense right now going up against a pretty good defense, a non-existent offense against a sneaky good defense. I like the Bengals here. It feels like a pretty good one. If they're home, they're playing better football. The Vikings are in kind of a rut offensively. I'll go them. The Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are 2.5-point favorites with an over/under of 42. Both teams are 7-6. Like I said, all the teams at this set except for the Lions are 7-6. The parity in the NFL is absolutely insane right now, and they're like there's 4 AFC teams that are 7-6 we're talking about. Isn't that crazy? The Steelers lost to the Patriots in a stunner, 21-18. They just never beat that team. And the Colts we just went over. So I'm going to, despite the fact that the Steelers offensively look pretty much dead in the water after the Patriots game, which is pretty much everybody after playing the Patriots this year, I'm going to be going with the Steelers because, again, I did see a few things that I liked. Again, their offense was kind of moving a little better at times. Again, not great, not very good, but there were moments where they looked pretty solid. Against a lesser defense like the Colts compared to the Patriots, I could see the Steelers putting up enough points to probably win this game, rebound after an ugly loss, after an ugly couple losses where everybody's going to be kind of like, oh, the Steelers are dead. They can't win anymore. Just lost to 2 straight 2-win teams. That's bad. They're done. Put a fork in them. I still think that they can kind of rebound from that, win a game no one's expecting them to. Against the Colts defense that's been hit and miss, really streaky. Their offense can be hit and miss, kind of streaky with Gardner Minshew. I could see the Steelers putting up a big hassle for this guy and kind of making the Colts not look so great. I don't know. I'm probably wrong here. I should pick the Colts. I know I'm making the wrong pick, but we're gonna go with the Steelers. It's in my gut. I'm not going against my gut anymore. I did that last week and I got destroyed for it. Denver Broncos take on the Detroit Lions. It's in Detroit, big advantage. Lions are 4-point favorites with an over/under of 46.5. Already went over the Broncos beating the Chargers, and the Lions lost to the Bears 28-13. Again, so one of the big issues for the Lions winning is going to be their defense. Can they do enough defensively to contain the Broncos, keep them kind of grounded, keep their offense from, scoring points at will with Russell Wilson, who's playing really good this year? The big thing for the Lions is the Broncos have, I think, a bottom 5 rush defense, even since they've started playing better defense, which they have. They've improved at defense since the Miami game. They're actually a pretty good defense, but it's mainly like taking the ball away and getting like picks and forcing fumbles. The Lions don't really fumble the ball except for Jared Goff. Jared Goff's like the only problem here. It's like, oh boy, Jared Goff. But then again, the Lions can rely on the run game. They have Montgomery, they've got Gibbs, they've got Williams who can run it, they've got Khalif Raymond who can run the ball from the receiver spots anyway. So again, the Lions should be using a multifaceted run game against Denver at home. Big advantage there. They play really well at home. The offense is better at home. So I like the Lions to win this game, relying on their run game. Hopefully their defense makes a big play or two. And that's kind of how you have to win this game. The only issue here is, can the student beat his mentor in Dan Campbell beating Sean Payton? Or is it the situation of the mentor knows all of the the teacher's tricks and Campbell knowing all of Payton's tricks? You know what I mean? So I'm going to go with the Lions on this one, but it should be one of the better games of the weekend, to be honest with you. Again, I think the Lions' run offense is going to make the difference in this game because, again, that's been one of the things the Broncos have struggled with on defense, but they've been good since Miami, so I'll go with the Lions. I feel good about those picks. Sunday, 1 p.m. Oh boy, yeah, we got the Falcons taking on the Panthers. Falcons are only favored by 3 for some reason, with an over/under of 34.5. Falcons lost to the Buccaneers 29-25 in one of the crazier games I've ever seen in terms of a finish. And then you have the Panthers losing 28-6. I don't think the Panthers will win. Maybe they'll score some more points, but I'll take the Falcons 23-14. Don't really have a lot to say about that one. Who really cares? All right, the Chicago Bears take on the Cleveland Browns. Browns are favored by 3 with an over/under at 37.5. Obviously, we just said the Bears defensively have improved mightily since picking up Montez Sweat, I believe, is who they picked up. And of course, they beat the Lions, and the Browns won 31-27 against the Jags. Joe Flacco looked really good. So basically, in this one, we're going to be giving the Browns offense a little bit of love here. The Browns defense a lot of love, basically considering the Browns will be able to handle the Bears' kind of weird little offense that they've been putting together. The Lions, just their defense is really bad. So I think the Browns defensively will be able to shut the Bears down, keep them kind of grounded, keep them off the board for the most part. And then, of course, defensively, I do think the Bears give the Browns a little bit of trouble. But with the way the Browns have looked this week, last week, I'm going to, they were playing, I don't know. I feel like the Jaguars are slightly better at defense than the Bears just by a little bit. Maybe not since they picked up Sweat, but I don't know. Browns should win this game. They can just pretty much shut the Bears down defensively, and then of course they can do enough offensively. We've seen all year they've kind of been able to just do enough offensively to get to wins. So I like the Browns. Bears have improved though. They look like a lot better team than when the year started. Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the Green Bay Packers. The Tampa's coming off that win, and of course Green Bay's coming off a pretty shocking loss to the Giants, 24-22. I don't know, Tommy DeVito just can't be stopped. The Packers are favored by 3 with an over/under of 42.5. I'm going to be going Packers here. It's going to be cold, and it's in the tundra outside in the wintertime. It's not really the tundra yet, but it's December, and it's mid-December. So, and again, I don't know. I just... Packers have been playing good. They just had a bad game against the Giants in which they kind of got humbled a little bit. Maybe they got some of the cockiness taken from them, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. It's a good humbling loss. They can still rally and go 10-7. It's just that's a tough loss to take. It makes you kind of question how good they are, but it's more like I think they got caught off guard. I don't think they expected the Giants to be able to play that good. And I excuse me. And I do think that the Packers rebound. I think they go back to looking a lot more competent on their offense like they were against Detroit, Kansas City. I think we see that kind of team start to reemerge against the Tampa defense. That's good, but it can be really streaky. You can beat on it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. We'll probably get a bad version. I don't know. I feel like they also made Desmond Ridder. I don't know. I'm going to abandon that point. I'm just going to go Packers over the Bucks because the Packers are home. The Jets take on the Dolphins. Dolphins are 9.5-point favorites with an over/under of 40.5. The Jets beat the Texans, beat them too, 30-6. Zach Wilson probably had his best game as a professional football player. And then you have the Miami Dolphins, who just got upset by the Texans, 28-27, or the Titans, 28-27, in a game where the Dolphins offense just never really got going. The Titans put on one hell of a game plan and actually won. It was crazy. Or the Titans put on a hell of a game plan and upset them. It was great. Anyway, yeah, I think the Dolphins win this game. Ultimately, I do think that their offense can score on this defense. What happened to the Texans was a combination of everybody got hurt. It was crappy weather. The coach going up against one of his buddies, what I mean. D'Amico Ryans going up against Robert Saleh, so Robert Saleh kind of has an idea of how D'Amico Ryans thinks as the guy who hired him, got him a job with San Fran. The whole thing. But with Miami, ultimately, I just like the team more. I don't know. Their offense has been really good this year, and I think they can score on the Jets' defense. I do think the Jets, they got something to rally for. I'm just not really sure what. I don't know. I feel like the only reason they beat the Texans is because everybody on Houston got hurt and then they gave a concussion to CJ Stroud and they're like, all right, we can just do this. It was interesting to see though that the Jets offense looked really good, and I'm wondering with the Dolphins defense being, not as good as Actually, I don't know who has a better defense, Houston or Miami. Should have looked that up. I feel stupid now. I'm going to just stick with the Dolphins at home. They have a better football team. They should win this game, but it would be awful goddamn funny if the Jets were able to take it. But hey, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I didn't do my homework on this game. If you can't tell, these last two games I didn't do my homework on. I apologize. All right, this one I did do my homework on, though. The New York Giants take on the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are 5.5-point favorites with an over-under of 37.5. The Saints coming off their 28-6 win versus the Panthers, and the Giants are coming off a 24-22 win versus the Packers. So both teams coming off dubs. I like the Saints in this one for the main point of being, I think, despite the Giants defense being really good this year and being able to do things and kind of keep them in games and win them games, essentially, I do think that the Saints defensively at home are like kind of a nightmare scenario for most teams. They're a tough team to go play against, especially in their home building. And I think the Giants being kind of limited on offense, they did score all those points, but it's kind of like they're not putting up yards. They're not really putting up big numbers. It's kind of like fly by the seat of your pants offense. And I think if you're going to a hostile place like New Orleans, where offense is already hard against the defense that's going to be like super inspired because they're still fighting for first place and basically a win could get them the division, I could imagine the Saints defense going to be super ferocious for this one and just completely kind of stifle the receiving abilities of the Giants, kind of shut down the run game, kind of key on that. And now that there's good tape against Tommy DeVito, which didn't exist until like the last game, I think the Saints are going to be able to execute a pretty good game plan against DeVito, see what he does well, get his tendencies, and kind of shut down this like little spark of a Giants offense that we've seen the last couple weeks. I don't know. I think that's how this game's going to go. It's really because it's in New Orleans. If it was in New York, I'd probably go them. But with everything I just said, the hostile home environment, going to be the craziest place that DeVito's ever played versus a team that actually has an understanding of what he does. I like the Saints to win this game 20-14-ish. The Houston Texans take on the Tennessee Titans. Titans are 2.5-point favorites. We've already gone over the Texans. They lost a tough one to the Jets, and the Titans upset the Dolphins. I'm going to be going with the Titans in this game, mainly because I don't know what's going on with the Houston Texans. They probably won't have Nico Collins. They probably won't have Tank Dell. We don't know if CJ Stroud's going to be healthy enough to play in this after the concussion. We'll know more on that on Saturday, so we'll review this game when we get to it. So I'm going to have to go with Titans over the Texans. At home, division game. We don't know what's going on with the health of the Houston team. We don't really know who's going to be available. So gotta have to go Tennessee, especially after they just got that big upset. They looked really good. My upset pick of the weekend. Kansas City takes on the New England Patriots. Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites with an over-under at 37. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, you knew this was coming. I hid this really well. The Chiefs are coming off a loss to the Bills 20-17, and the Patriots are coming off a 21-18 win versus Steelers. The only reason I think this is going to happen is we're at home. The Chiefs can't score points this year. They're not very good at offense. Patriots have a very good defense this year. No one really talks about it. And no one in the world is expecting the Patriots to win this game, and it would be very, very funny. Those are my main reasons I think this is going to happen. I think the Chiefs, I think the Patriots will outcoach them. I think the Patriots defense will completely stifle this Chiefs offense like they've done to everyone else this year. And I really do believe that somehow Bailey Zappi will put up about 17 points on this Chiefs defense, and that's all we're going to need. I'm going to take the Patriots. Worst pick of the year. I know I'm getting this wrong, but hey, you never know. It could happen. We got faith here in the Patriots. I know I'm a fan of the team, so this is really biased, but even if I wasn't a fan of the Patriots, I would consider this for an upset pick, mainly because of the history between Belichick and Reed, and you're like, Bill probably wants to win this game just for the shits and giggles. So I'm going to go Patriots in a crazy upset pick, mainly because the defense of the Patriots could actually shut down the Chiefs' offense. That's how bad it is. The receivers of the Chiefs are so bad, I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything against the Patriots secondary that is destroying like bad receiving this year. So give me the Patriots in a game. I don't know why I'm picking the way I am. So I got Patriots. All right, let's go to the 4 o'clockers. 49ers take on the Arizona Cardinals. 49ers are 13.5-point favorites with an over-under of 47.5. The Cardinals are coming off a bye. The 49ers coming off a 28-16 win versus the Seahawks. I got the 49ers winning pretty comfortably. Can the Cardinals stick around and stay in the game? Sure, they probably will. They probably won't get completely blown out. But ultimately, this is the 49ers game to lose. And, if you're Arizona, you probably don't want to win this game anyway because, the Patriots are ahead of you now in the draft. Just a little, food for thought, The Commanders take on the Rams. A couple games that I don't have to spend too much time going over. The Commanders were coming off a bye. The Rams coming off a heartbreaking loss to the Ravens in which they lost on a punt. The Rams are favored by 6.5 with an over-under of 48.5. You know what's crazy about the Commanders? They very quietly have the 4th pick in the draft, and I feel like they're just kind of losing on purpose now. They traded all their good defensive players, which is going to murder them in this game against the Rams offense that has been massively improved since Stafford and everybody got healthy. So I don't know, the Commanders defense hasn't been good. Rams offense has been white hot, really. I'm going to go with the Rams as long as everyone's healthy and good to go in this game. They should be able to handle the Commanders at home fairly well. For Washington, I guess. The Dallas Cowboys take on the Buffalo Bills in what could be the game of the week. The Bills are 2.5-point favorites as the home team with an over-under of 48.5. All right. Cowboys beat the crap out of the Eagles 33-13, and the Bills again beat the Chiefs 20-17. I'm gonna have to be honest here. I'm more impressed by a blowout win of the Eagles for the Cowboys than the Bills kind of getting a little bit lucky that Kadarius Toney lined up offside, and then Mahomes had a meltdown on the referees. So. Very funny post-game behavior by Mahomes. I feel actually kind of bad for Josh Allen that he got big ups like that. That was rude. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Cowboys here, right? I do like that the Bills beat the Chiefs, but my thing with that game, it's yeah, they won because the fucking Tony's an idiot. They would have that game was looking like the Chiefs might have just had a weird big comeback. Basically, I'm giving all the respect to the Cowboys that I feel like they should be getting here. Surprised they're not favored with the way that they're playing offense. Their defense has been completely lights out. I know they're going on the road to Buffalo, but I don't know if that makes a big difference. I feel like the Cowboys can win on the road. They can win at home. They look like one of the best teams in the NFL right now. Again, they really actually look like them boys this year. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Cowboys are just playing better football than the Bills at this point in the year. They're beating good teams. They blew the hell out of the Eagles. I don't know. It's really hard to pick against Dallas right here, especially with the way Buffalo's defense has been this year, where it's been hit and miss. It'll sometimes be good, sometimes it looks really bad, and they don't really want to have a game where they look really bad against this version of the Cowboys offense that's been lethal. So again, give me the Cowboys in a pretty good game. Sunday Night Football, what do we got? We got the Ravens and the Jaguars. Ravens are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 43.5. Of course, we already know both teams coming off, the Ravens coming off a win, and the Jaguars coming off a loss. Basically, I think that the injury to Trevor Lawrence is part of the reason why the Browns were ultimately able to win that game. I don't think the offense ever looked really that comfortable with Lawrence out there. Again, he's dealing with a high ankle sprain. He played pretty okay. It's just you can tell the ankle is one of the reasons why the Jaguars might have lost that game and weren't able to hang offensively as they should have been able to. So I'm wondering, against the Ravens defense that's just as good as the Browns defense, I wonder if they run into a similar issue, which is what I'm thinking. I think because of the injuries on the Jags offense, they don't have Kirk. They don't have, they have Lawrence at 50%. I think when you play a team as good as the Ravens, as well coached as the Ravens as they are, as good as offense as they are this year, as good as defense as they are this year, you're running into so many issues with a 50% quarterback. It's so hard to take that guy. I'm going to go the Ravens because, again, I just kind of like the way they're playing more than the Jags, and they're substantially healthier, so. And I know Lawrence played. It's just he didn't look like himself. Monday Night Football, we got the Eagles taking on the Seahawks. Eagles are favored by 3.5 with an over-under of 48. I'm going to be going with the Eagles. I think they rebound after a couple ugly losses here. I think they figure out what's not working. Do I think the Seahawks stay in it? Oh, yeah. The Eagles defensively have kind of collapsed, and I do think Seattle, despite all their woes, can maybe stay in this game with their offense. Ultimately, I just think the Eagles are a league or two ahead of the Seahawks, and I don't know, it feels like the Seahawks are free falling to some extent. Again, they're not a bad team. It just feels like their issues and injuries have caught up to them, and I don't think they can overcome them at this point. So that's why I like the Eagles. Again, the injuries, it feels like injuries at key positions for the Seahawks. The number of injuries, just they were already so limited in depth on places like offensive line that when they lost guys, it was pretty much just the game. So yeah, I like the Eagles to have a good bounce back here and win like 27-20. All right, that's pretty much all my picks. So we got through it, folks. All right, so that's pretty good. We had a full 16-week season games to go over, so hopefully you enjoyed the picks. Hopefully we do much better than the 5-10 we started with, because that's rather embarrassing. I don't know. Hopefully it's a good week. All we can do is hope. Hopefully we pick 16 games right, but I kind of doubt that with the Patriots pick. Let me know what your picks are down below. As always, make sure you leave your picks, how you're doing, what your records are, all that fun stuff as we like to do here on the channel. But yeah, that's it. Week 15, down the tubes, down the drain, in the dumps, thrown out in the back, shot with the shotgun like Old Yeller. that was a little extreme. I don't know why I said that one. I'm sorry. Well, let's get out of here. All right, we should get out of here quickly because it's a little bit of a longer video than normal. So, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day, night, morning, mid-afternoon, mid-evening, evening, nighttime, weird, hazy, like fucking 2:33 p.m. time, 2:33 a.m. period, where you're safe from the ghosts, the ghosts of the Jets and the Panthers. It's Jake Del Homie. Oh God, look out! It's Cam Newton and Chad Pennington. Bart Scott. Anyway, all right, everyone. Hopefully you have a good rest of the day whenever you decide to give this a listen. I'll see you for week 16, and good luck on your picks. Can't believe it's almost over. How sad. Sad. Either way, have a good one, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Bye-bye.